Hey, this is Gina Grad.
Hi, this is Teresa Strasser.
Hi, everyone. This is Mike Errico.
Hey there. This is Casey Cavalier.
I'm Rocky Rose.
And you are listening to The Jay Franzi Show.
Lucky you.
Welcome to The Jay Franzi Show. A behind-the-curtain look at the entertainment industry with insights you can't pay for and stories you've never heard. Now, here's your host, Jay Franzi.
And we are coming at you live. I am Jay Franzi, and this is your source for the latest news, reviews, and interviews. So if you would like to join in, comment, or fire off any questions, please head over to jayfranzi.com. All right, folks, get this. We have a very special guest with us. I said it once, I will say it again. We have a very special guest. We have a recording artist, not just any, but a rock and roll recording artist, hailing from the great state of Connecticut. We have Gina Fritz. Gina, my friend, how are you?
What's up? How are you? I am great. Thank you for having me on.
It is so good to have you here. Why don't we just jump right in? Let's start off with, tell me what the music scene is like up there in Connecticut.
So the music scene in Connecticut, I would say it's more towards like the harder side. So like more like hardcore. There's like some pop artists here and there, but mostly the scene is very, very hardcore over on this side.
Nice. So how do you fit in with that?
So a couple years back in 2017, I was in a band. It was like a pop punk style band. And then after that, I ended up going to like a more like poppier project. In that project, I met Whitney Payton, who, if you guys know anything about me, I'm in a band called Keyed Up as well. And after I met Whitney, that was kind of like when my solo stuff started taking off a little bit more. And I formed a band around myself. And it's called Gina Fritz. And I have my guys who back me every night.
What's it like being in more than one band?
It's really cool because I get to be very versatile. Like I get to write like the more rock-based stuff. And actually the stuff that Keyed Up has coming out, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but it's more like rock style. But again, I get to be very versatile with her rapping and my singing. So we kind of get to go back and forth on that, which is pretty cool.
So it gives you two outlets for creativity.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and describe what your solo project is like then.
My solo project is more rock based. So if you guys like Halestorm, Flyleaf, Paramore, I get the reference a lot. But if you like any of that style music, that's where my solo stuff kind of falls into that realm.
We've been talking on the show lately about Halestorm quite a bit.
Oh, they're so good.
I've introduced my family to them. That story came up on our last episode. So we've been talking about Halestorm, and it came out that I just might be a sucker for female-fronted rock bands.
Oh, maybe that's why I'm on here right now.
See, that's what I'm saying, right? So, yes, I mean, your style of music fits right into the groove of what I like to listen to. But it does have that reference to Flyleaf and Halestorm and Evanescence and so on.
I try to make it like my own because like I never want to like copy another artist, but I guess like those are my like big influences when I do write my music. But I feel like I definitely have like my own kind of spin on it. I like to throw in a breakdown or two every once in a while. And it throws people really off and I love it.
Well, I don't think your music would be considered a copy of. I think it just fits alongside those. So if you were to play those on a playlist or play them on the radio, I think you can go back to back to back with all those artists, including yourself, and you would fit right in without being a carbon copy of either one of them. I think you take the pieces, whether they're the best pieces of each one of those bands, and put them together and then establish something of your own.
Well,
so
thank you.
I know you have a single, Chemicals, so why don't we start there? Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the history of the song.
Yeah, so when I was writing Chemicals, I was going through a really hard time in my life, and I was kind of contemplating, like, am I still going to do this? Like, I feel like all of us kind of come to, like, a point in time where, like, do we still go with what our heart is telling us, or do we go with what our head is telling us? And I went with my heart, And yeah, I feel like Chemicals is talking about like what's going on in my head. I kind of just go back and forth on a lot of different things.
Well, before we get too deep into it, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about that? What was the challenge you were facing? What were you struggling with at that time?
Just like the music industry in general, I feel like is just like very social media based right now. So having to like keep up with like the different content online and having to keep up with, you know, the TikToks and the social media aspect of it, you kind of have to be both a creative and a businesswoman. So like I'm trying to be both at the same time, and sometimes it just gets very tiring and, you know, you feel worn out after a little bit. So like that's kind of where like my mindset was when I was writing Chemicals, just very like mixed up in my brain of like, am I ever going to get somewhere with this? Like, am I just going to keep beating this horse, you know?
Do you feel that that feeling comes with the way the industry is at the moment, where the benefit of social media is an artist can break and do things on their own without the assistance of a label? The downfall is you don't have the guidance and the team of people that a label has. So you end up taking on that dual role, as you were talking about, with the business as well as the art.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I try my best to like be on social media and be on TikTok and do all of the things that like they say that like you should be doing on social media. And honestly, the only aspect of social media that I love is like it connects me to new fans. So like people that end up meeting me are like, oh, like I found you through TikTok, or, oh, I found you like, you know, through your Instagram. Honestly, most of the time it's TikTok. And that's like the golden aspect of it is like, okay, like even if my stuff isn't necessarily popping off, if one or two people come up to me at my show and they're like, I saw that one TikTok that you did and, you know, it brought me here and like now I love your other music. That's the golden aspect of social media, is like it introduces you to new people who never would have normally known who you were.
How does that make you feel when that happens?
It's crazy. It's always very like, whoa, like, you know, you found me through social media. That's crazy. And it's very nice because it's like you could follow like so many people. There's so many people on social media. So, you know, for people to be like, I follow you and, you know, I look at your videos and your videos help me and your music helps me. It's a crazy feeling that I still to this day like can't describe. When someone comes up to me and says that, it's like, whoa.
Before we get back to your single, can you tell us how you utilize social media to grow your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So like when I say, for instance, you know, the other night I actually was up with Deadlands. Casey, she's amazing. And she invited me up to sing with them for one of their songs. And before that, you know, I did like a cover on social media to kind of like connect with her fans and like, you know, try to get them over to my page. I feel like with TikTok and Instagram especially, you can do reels. And I notice reels get like more traction. So every time I'm performing with a new band, like today I just announced that I'll be opening for The Funeral Portrait. You know, I'll find one of their songs to cover. That way I'll post it and hopefully that'll bring their fan base over to my page and they'll say, oh, hey, who is this? That's a cover that she did of The Funeral Portrait. Let me go look at what she has. And it kind of snowballs that, which is cool.
No, it's absolutely cool. So do you see a jump in your numbers when you finish opening up for somebody else?
It depends because I try to do lives every time I perform, but I feel like if I am very active during the show and I'm like, hey, here I am at this show opening for this person, you just have to like constantly be, I don't want to say constantly be online, but like you constantly have to be active because say like you put it away for like 5 days, people are constantly on their phones. Like the more content that you put up, the more chance that you're going to have someone see it, whether it be a video from like months ago, because the algorithm is so strange. So like a video could pop up from months ago that you posted and people will be like, oh, that's the one that I found. But when I'm specifically like at a show, I try my hardest to not be on my phone because I want to be in the moment and I want to meet people when they're coming up to me. It's afterwards is I'll go on and I'll repost stuff if people tag me in like certain videos. Like I'll try my best to like respond to all of them because they took the time to come out and buy a ticket to either see my show or a show that I was opening, and they took the time to say, hey, I really liked your music. So that's when I try to really be on social medias after the fact. And it does. It helps.
My thought was kind of like when you're on stage, like before you leave the stage, whether it be before the last song or however you choose to do it, if you announced, hey, if you like what you heard tonight, come join me on my socials or follow me for future updates. And then I was just curious how quickly you would see that change.
It takes a while. It's not like an overnight thing. It takes a minute. And like I said, like with my reels, like I really try to take advantage of the advertising that Instagram lets you do. And, I just put like a tiny bit, and sometimes that tiny bit really opens up like to a lot of new people. It's happened to a couple of my videos where I'm like, whoa. But yeah, I try to take advantage of like all of like the little tools that all of these different platforms give you. And I notice when you use the new tools that they post, they'll almost reward you for using the new tools that they want people to use. So that's what I've been trying to focus on. It's a lot, but at the same time, if you like making content, then it's fun.
Well, yeah, if you like making content.
You like making content,
otherwise
then
it's a job.
Otherwise it is, yeah. And, I never, obviously, like at the end of the day, like, do I view this as a job? Yes and no, because I have so much fun with it. Like I get to have so much fun. I get to meet new people and I get to help people with my songs, which is really cool. So I don't really view it as a job, but I have to take it seriously and I have to be on there making the content.
But one of the things I would like to experiment with when it comes to social media is when I'm working with an artist who is opening up for a major artist or even just an artist that's larger in general, is experimenting with, if we have side screens, putting QR codes up on the screen, or right before that last song saying, hey, if you like what you heard while we're all pumped up and excited, let's go ahead and take out your phones.
Yeah.
Why don't we all go ahead and make sure that you follow me right now on Instagram, that type of thing. And just see what kind of difference that would make just doing a little bit of promotion from a stage like that, especially if you're on the road with a bigger artist and you can hit a new city every night and make that spike every single night. Then what would that do to the algorithm that we mentioned here? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Then it spikes your numbers that way. It's so different just like seeing people in person and having them come over to you and having that like actual interaction.
No, absolutely. So you mentioned, as we build into your single, you mentioned the band that you formed around this. Let's go ahead and talk about the band. Why don't we start with just names and instruments?
Yeah, so we have Frank Soltis. He is my lead guitarist. And then we have Evan Reiki. He is my bass player. And then we have Frankie Forbes. He is my drummer. And I met all of them through my producer, Christopher Paquette. He is incredible, and he helped me form this band for sure.
So how did you meet Christopher?
So I met Christopher back in 2017 when I was in my first band, that pop punk band that I was talking about. And they fought me on going to Chris because I wanted to look at all of our options. I was kind of like, let's not just settle on this one dude just because he worked with so-and-so and so-and-so. And they were like, no, like, we have to go to him. Like, he is the dude. We have to go. And I was like, okay. And I went, I met him. We instantly connected and he instantly understood like my vision and he understood how I sang. Like a lot of the times I noticed with producers with female artists is they like to almost like make my voice into like a Disney princess sort of voice. And I'm like, I don't sound like that, like when they put the auto-tune on it and everything. I loved the way that he specifically mixed my voice. So I had worked with him with that band. Fast forward to that band not working out. I came back to him in 2020 during the pandemic, and I was like, listen, I want to try to rework one of these songs that I had and I just never put out. And he said, okay, let's rework it. And he was willing to do that with me, which is awesome. You know, you don't just go back to a producer that you went to, like, you know, 7-8 years ago, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, I'll still work with you. Let's rework that song that you wanted to. So he's awesome. I can't say nicer things about him. And he knew I wanted to form a band, and I was like, I don't know anybody. And he was like, well, you know, let me pull some people for you and see if, you know, you connect with any of them.
All right. Well, one of the things you mentioned there was you liked the way that he mixed your voice.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean he also takes on the role of the engineer?
Absolutely. Yeah. He's my producer. He's my engineer. Some of the covers that you hear that I post on my Instagram, I'll go to him and I'll say, hey, let's do this one take of a song. And it's a one take. And he'll like do like little tiny things. But I always say to him, I go, do not put auto tune. Like, I want people to hear my raw takes, you know, but a lot of the times, like, I'll send it to him first and I'll be like, you know, how does this sound? And he'll be like, I just got to tweak it a little. Like, you're good.
So now Christopher, being your producer as well as your engineer,
Mm-hmm.
does he have his own personal home-based studio, or does he rent a studio?
He does. So it's called No Boundaries Studios. It's in North Kingstown, Rhode Island, which is very close to Connecticut. So it's a quick little drive. And yeah, his studio is awesome for bands that are traveling too. So like when Whitney, we're going to make our album very soon. I honestly don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about that, but if you follow Keyed Up, we're coming out with an album soon. She's going to be flying in and we're going to be staying there because he has like it's almost like a little like apartment, like down, like where his
quarters.
studio is. Exactly. Yeah. So if he has people like traveling from out of state, like really far out of state, like they can just stay there. And yeah.
Well, that's going to be pretty cool. So the studio itself, is it at his home?
It's at his home.
Can you kind of describe it to us a little bit?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know what any of that stuff does. I try watching him and he's like a wizard.
How big of a room is it?
It's like, I would say like, it's like a regular size room. Like it's not like anything like very, very large, but it gets the job done. He has like his piano in there. There is a separate room for vocals. Everything is isolated. And he has like double doors too. So like he has a sliding door and then there's another connecting door. So like you are isolated once you're in that room. Yeah. Which makes it very easy for me because I like to belt when I sing. And I'm like, I don't want to bother anybody. But since it's just him, he's like, I don't care.
Right. Of course. So when you go in there to sing, when you go in there, how do you make it your own? How do you make it so you're comfortable?
I bring in my either hot tea or my water. I set it up right on the little table. I kind of do my warm-ups. But like I said, too, I just have a very good connection with Chris. So it's like one of those things where we just have fun. When I go in the booth, like it's just a fun time. Like there's no pressure ever. Like if I can't hit a part, he's not like, like drilling me to get it. He's like, all right, come back out, take a little breather. Once you're good, go back in. So it's very relaxing and it's very nice. It's not like I never feel like pressured when I'm over there, which there have been like some cases where like I'll go in and like I'll be like, oh no, like to other studios. And I just feel very comfortable at his place and his studio.
Well, that's what it's all about, right? The producer's there to make you feel comfortable.
Gotta be comfortable. You have to, yeah.
I know you mentioned not wanting to use auto-tune, and I can understand that. I mean, a singer prides themselves on being able to sing, and when you have to take a tool to manipulate your vocal to hit a pitch that you probably could have hit on your own is probably discouraging.
Right.
So do you ever find a time where maybe you might pitch shift, not tune, but actually pitch shift your vocal?
Yeah. There's definitely times where we have to like pitch shift, and there are some times too where like the newest song that we just did, I was like, I don't like how I'm singing in this key, so like we'll switch the key of it. But yeah, there's definitely times where we have to use the auto tune, or we have to like do like the pitch correcting, but it never goes super far off. I'm always like able to like hit it live, like like, no, like I have to be able to like hit it live. And if I can't, then, we drop it down and I say, yeah, no, I can't go that high.
Well, I mean, it's part of the creative process. So just going through all these steps. You want to be in this for the long haul.
Yup.
So
I don't want to destroy my voice.
If you put it up too high, then
it's
10 years from now, you're going to be cursing yourself.
Right.
So, no, I can understand all that. So the musicians that you play with on a regular basis, they don't go in the studio at all with you then. This is totally Christopher in the studio and then your band when you play live.
Yeah, this is completely me and Chris. And, I've been in studios with my bands prior, and sometimes when there's too many opinions, it takes a little bit longer to reach the final product.
Not sometimes, my friend. I would say all the time.
All the time. So I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, they're my songs. It's Gina Fritz on that screen. So these are what I want. These are my songs. The guys, whenever I show them the finished product, sometimes they're like, well, maybe you should change this lyric. And like, they give me like little notes, and I will go back in the studio and sometimes fix certain parts. But because it's just me and Chris in the studio, we're kind of like racketeering off of each other, just like boom, 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 like ideas back and forth, back and forth. There's not like a third or fourth party that's like, oh, well, how about we do this? How about we do this? It's literally just bing, bang, boom. And that's it.
Right. You guys can try things as quick as you think of them.
Exactly. Like if I'm like, oh, let's try this. All right, Gina, go get in the booth, go sing it. Let's see how it sounds. Like I wouldn't say it's a quick process, but we definitely have a certain process that we've been doing since 2020 now. And every time we go in, I'm like, well, I have 2 songs. Like I came with like 2 songs that I want to try to get done. And he's like, all right, let's do it in 2 days. Let's see if we could get it done in 2 days. And I'll book a 2-day session and we'll get it done. And it'll, it comes out awesome. He's insanely talented, because for him to be able to do the drums, he has like a pad, like a drum pad. So he'll do everything on like the drum pad, but then all of the guitars, he plays every single one. He'll play the bass, the rhythm, the lead. It's crazy. I just sit there sometimes and watch him and I'm like, you're insane.
Well, he does have talent, probably too much talent. Christopher, we're going to need you to dumb it down a little bit.
Dumb it down, Chris. Dumb it down.
You're making the rest of us feel bad. All right, as we talk about your band and not going in the studio, and it is your name on the marquee, so let's take that a step further. What is the business relationship between you and the band?
Oh, they're my best friends. Whenever we're together, it's, you have to have a good connection with your band, because if you don't, then you're kind of just like going in and being like, okay, you're playing this part, you're playing this part. And I know some bands do operate like that when there's that head person. But for me, being in a band means these are your friends. You're playing shows with them. You're going out to places with them. You're doing videos with them. Like, I need to have a connection with them. And in the past, there were people that didn't make it through because there just wasn't that connection. I've met really solid guys, and I'm very truly lucky, because at this point in the game, I want people that are focused. I want people that are on the same page as me. I want people that will work just as hard as I'm working. I want people that aren't afraid to go on social media. I want people that aren't afraid to shake people's hands when we're in a room with certain people. And I found those guys. I really did. Shout out to you guys.
So these guys, are they the traditional hired gun, or are you making them truly an equal partner in the band itself?
We're equal partners. So even though it says Gina Fritz, we are equal partners, and they understand, like they get it, they know my past and they know that I haven't been treated the best sometimes in my past projects, and they're there for me, and they are equally as willing to make this work as I am.
All right. So with that said, what kind of participation do they do to earn their equal parts? Like you mentioned shaking hands, you mentioned social media. Do they go on social media? Do they help and promote your music as well?
Yeah, absolutely. They go on, they promote, every show, we collaborate with on every single post. Evan, my bass player, he is also my sound guy when we are doing shows.
It's always the bass player.
It's always the bass player. He knows everything. So like, when the sound guy comes over to me and he's like talking to me about stuff that I really am not too certain on, I'm like, you know what? Go see my bass player. He knows exactly what's going on. He has the rig and we have our in-ear set up, and he helps everything run smooth. He's also my personal therapist on the road. So when I am like feeling a certain type of way, he'll bring me over and he'll be like, Gina, stop worrying. Everything's going to be fine. You're up in your head right now. You're good. But yeah, they all play equal parts. Frankie, my drummer, is amazing. He goes over. We have kids that sometimes will come to our shows. And at a recent show that we just did at launch, we had this family come with their kids. And the one kid, he goes, I want to be a drummer when I get older. And Frankie was like, oh, let me show you, a couple little roles that you can do. Like they're all just such good guys. And yeah, like I said, bringing it back, like I'm just very lucky because they do all play their part, and it works. It really does. Because you could have that one person that just like slacks off, that doesn't do anything, and like I don't have that. I have like all these guys want to be there. We all genuinely want this to work out.
Sure. And that's what matters, is finding the right group of people to be around.
Yeah.
I want to mention real quick the importance of a well-placed pause, because when you say Frankie and we have kids, and then you go on to say at the shows.
No.
Just saying.
Yeah, not that.
Don't
not
pause
that.
for too long. That's all. All right. So while we're talking about business, let's talk about your merch, because you even got merch for your single. So can you tell me how you go about creating merch?
So I have a guy who I go to for designs, and we kind of, just like me and Chris, we pinball the ideas off of one another. And I like to keep my brand kind of on the purple side, hence the purple hair. And he gets that. His name is Evan. But most recently, I actually had a design made through Kaylee of Rivals, Kaylee Wolf. And she's an incredible designer herself. And so I have a new shirt coming out for my new song, Disassociate, which will be out next month, fingers crossed. But yeah, I have my guy Evan is normally the one who I do go to for most of my designs. And he understands the branding of how I want everything branded. And I've been working with him, I think it's been like at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, but he's my dude. His name is Evan Middleton, and he's in a band. They're called Sync With Me. They just came out with a new song too, so go check that out.
Very nice. Give props where they're due.
Absolutely.
Well, let's take the branding piece. You mentioned your brand, so let's take that a step further. Can you tell us what your brand is?
I would say that it is feminine power. I do everything like kind of like based off like women and female and empowerment. And I also like to go into like the metal, like, how like people have like the little metal logos, like, and you kind of like can't read it sometimes.
Well, yeah, the real heavy stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, I love doing that because it kind of throws people off sometimes, because I'm not metal like that, but I just think it's so fun. And like, I wear shirts like that. So like whenever I see something that like, you know, another band like put out and I'm like, oh, I really like that, I try to incorporate it somehow with my brand, even though I'm more like, I would say my stuff is more like almost like pop rock-ish. I don't know what my genre is anymore, to be completely honest, but I love doing like the more like heavier designs.
It comes across as more of the hard rock style, I would say.
I guess. Thank you.
Well, I mean, if you're in the same vein as Halestorm and Evanescence and Flyleaf, I would say that's hard rock.
It's so funny because like sometimes people will come up to me at like shows and they'll be like beforehand, before I go on stage, and they'll be like, what's your genre? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know anymore. So when I go up there and you hear me, you come back over to my merch table and you tell me what genre it is.
And what do they tell you?
I get a lot of Paramore, but some people do say it's like more on like the heavier side. They're like, you're kind of like metalcore. And I'm like, sure, I'll go with it. That's hard.
Well, talk more about the brand itself. So we know the style of music. We know the color of purple. What other identifying features are there to the brand itself?
I do a lot of like, if you notice my shirts, like I have like a lot of, even the newer one, it has like a lot of like people almost on the shirts. Like stuff like either like they're floating up like in space or like they don't have a face. Like it's very like abstract, I guess you could call it. I like doing a lot of abstract merch, things that make people kind of question. Like I don't want it to be like too much in your face of like you look at it and like you know what it is. I kind of like having people question where I'm going with it. I don't like it to be like a story told. I kind of like people to come up with their own story for my branding because it makes it more fun.
So when you talk about some consistent factors like people and so forth in your branding, do you have any logo that you keep consistent throughout there? Is there any fonts or anything like that you keep consistent?
Not really. I almost wish I did, but I'm kind of glad that I don't, because every single thing that I put up is different. And that's what I like about my merch, is everything is kind of different. I did have a heart at one point with like an X going through it, and that was for my single Remedy. But pretty much for every single, I do something different. And the only thing that's really kept the same is my actual logo of Gina Fritz. And it's just like a standard print that you'll see like on the flyers. And you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you should change the logo, you should do. And I'm like, maybe eventually, but I kind of like it, especially like when it's on a poster. I do like it that people can read it and like know like, oh, Gina Fritz is on this. And they're not like, wait a second, like, who is that? Like, which is cool. But like, I don't know, for like that type of logo, I'm like, I'll just keep it like as is, like standard. It's just very like to the point. Like there it is, like on top of one another. My brother actually designed that for me because we were downstairs one night and I was like, oh. I'm like, I don't really know like what I want like for a logo, but I want people to know that it's me. Like I don't want it to like be like something crazy. And he's like, and we were going through like different like fonts, and I forgot the name of that font, but it very just like, there you go, right in your face.
Fairly standard
big
font.
Gina Fritz.
Well, when we look at something like that, I think that's a very important thing to consider. Are you going to stand out? Is it going to be easy to read? Is it going to be easy to read at a small size and so on? Those are just things that we consider at all times. So I think it's a good choice. I like the logo.
Thank you. Maybe at some point it'll change, but for right now, I'm keeping it as is.
You want something that's going to be easy to read, but something that's also going to show the vibe of what you're putting out.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and take it a step further. One of the things that we keep talking about is these upcoming shows. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about the shows that you got coming up?
May 25th, I will be with the Funeral Portrait, which I'm so excited about. They just announced they're on a full tour. It just got announced like maybe a week ago. Thank you very, very much for reaching out to me. I'm so excited. So that's May 25th.
And that's Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah, and then May 31st, it's in Milton, Pennsylvania. It is punk rock prom. Then I'm in the studio. For the first week of June. And then July 12th, I have Summer Shoreline Fest, which is also in Connecticut. It's in New Haven. And then I have Summer Scream Fest, doing a lot of festivals. We're kind of like doing like little spot ones. And Summer Scream Fest is in Brooklyn, New York at the Meadows.
Nice.
So very excited for all the festivals coming up. And I do have one more show that I'm announcing. I just don't know when I can announce it yet. But it's in June, if I can say that. But
So now I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Out of all the festivals that are coming up, which one are you looking forward to most?
The one that I didn't announce yet.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that one then?
It is with people that
You don't have to tell me. That was just me joking. Don't get yourself in trouble over this.
I don't want to get myself in trouble. But the one that I'm also very, very excited about is Summer Scream Fest. Just because the lineup already, there are so many amazing female artists specifically that are on that one. My friends in Wavebreaker on it. The lineup is very, very good. Go check out the lineup for Summer Scream Fest. And also Shoreline Fest, I'm very excited about because that's in Connecticut. And last year it sold out. It's gonna be very fun. I always like outside festivals. It's always a good time.
All right. You mentioned earlier covers.
Yes.
So again, that's utilizing social media. We're doing covers to get the attention of not only new people, new potential fans, but also the attention of the artists that are coming around. So that way they might see you and consider you as an opening act. It's a very smart, very strategic way of doing things. However, then you also take some creative license when you do some of these. So can you tell us a little bit about your Sabrina Carpenter cover?
Thank you. So again, that was with Chris. I went to his studio and I was like, I kind of want to do like a pop cover. And he's like, all right, well, who do you want to do? And I was like, Sabrina Carpenter. I love listening to her songs. Like, I'm a fan. So I was like, let's just do it like more like metal-esque, like kind of like rockish. And he was like, all right, let's try it out and see what we could do. And I went in, I sang over like just like her track, but then I was the one that kind of took the initiative and I was like, let's do it this way. Like, I'm kind of hearing it like this. And he's great for that too. Like when I'm like, I'm hearing it a certain way and he plays it and he's like, how about this? And I'm like, no, like more like, no. Like I'll sound it out, which is so crazy, but like, and he'll get it. But yeah, no, that was so much fun. And I love taking like pop covers like that and like making them rock. Like, I just think it's so fun to like kind of make them a little bit different.
Yeah, that's my favorite is when if someone's going to do a cover, I want it to be pretty different. And I like it when people take songs that are not intended to be done that way and do it that way. So, I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, one of my favorites is Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time. I think everybody and their mother has covered it. It's probably one of the best songs out there. And then to hear all the different versions of that song is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of versions of that one. But it's cool because, like, you can take a song like that and do, like, 100 different versions of it because it's a very, like, I don't want to say basic song, but, like, I feel like you can take any song and, like, make it sound like how you're thinking of it in your head. Yeah.
Another one you did, and can you tell us the reason that you chose Linkin Park, Heavy as the Crown?
Okay, I love Linkin Park, and I think Emily is such an insane vocalist. And funny story is after I chose that song, because I was doing it with Whitney, that was like the cover that like we had decided like, oh, like let's do this one. And I didn't realize that she like had like a very elongated scream in that song where it's like, this is what you asked for. She holds that note. I don't know how long she holds it, but she holds it for so long that I was going to pass out. I was like, I called Whitney and I was like, Whitney, are you sure you want to cover this song? Are you sure? And she was like, you're the one that wanted to. And I'm like, all right. Yep. You're right. So I just have to do it. But no, it came out really good. But Oh my God, when I tell you that took me so many tries. And yeah, no, Emily is just an insane vocalist. Yeah, she's so crazy.
The last one I want to bring up is your Butcher Babies. That is a duet.
Yes.
So, and when we say duet, I mean a social media duet and not necessarily a vocal duet. So can you tell me why you chose that song and the recognition you got from it?
Oh, so I love the Butcher Babies, and I love when artists do duets like that on TikTok because it allows you to essentially do a duet with them without doing a duet with them. So I was like, I might as well just give it a try. And I recorded it, and then I posted it, not thinking that like anything would happen with it. But Heidi saw it. She saw it, and she was like, oh my God, I love it. It's so good. And I was texting my guys that day. I was like, oh my God, look at who just commented, sending it in the group chat. But yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy to get that notification. And Butcher Babies actually followed me after that, which is, again, crazy and very mind-blowing, to say the absolute least. And they did pick a winner for that because I think there was like a winner afterwards. But they might be doing other things with it. That's all I can say on that. But yeah, it was very humbling and very like crazy that they even took notice of it.
Can you tell us how you recorded it?
I'm going to say his name again, the GOAT, the myth, the legend, Chris Paquette. I went to his studio and I was like, listen, like, I just want to do like this 30-second like little cover. And he was like, do you want me to put the auto-tune on? And I was like, no. I was like, I want it to be like very like raw, like it's a one take. It's essentially a one take. I recorded it at my house first, like just like kind of listening to it over and over and over again, because I have to put my own lyrics to it. And I want to make sure that it fits with the song and that it sounds good in my ear first before I go into the studio. And I sent it to him like over like a voice memo. I was like, how does this sound? And he was like, oh, it sounds really good. He's like, so yeah, he's like, just come through the studio. It'll be really quick. We'll record it and that'll be it. So I was like, okay. And I did. And then what I do is once I get like the recorded version back, I essentially like will like look into a microphone and like you lip sync it. Like that's how like you do, like after you record it is like you essentially like make the video for it, make the content for it. And yeah, and I kind of cropped it and made it look like all good for social media, and then I posted it. And yeah, and then after that it kind of just like took a life of its own, and other people, like their fan base was finding me, which was really cool that I ended up essentially connecting with their audience because of that. So thank you to the Butcher Babies for recognizing that, and for recognizing all, like they went through like everyone's videos and they were like recognizing like everyone, which was so cool. Like that's so cool.
Well, you mentioned a couple of things in there I want to discuss just a hair deeper. One of the things is that you actually took it into the studio. So you're not just singing into your phone and recording a duet with that person at that time. You take that song into the studio and then you take it home and you put thought into the video and you lip sync to that song that you created. But the other thing is you said you had to write your own original lyrics. Was that a surprise to you?
So when they posted the open verse, so open verse is essentially like you write your own version, like your own verse. So everybody's verse was different, and I went through other people's like just to like kind of see like what other people were doing, because some people had posted theirs already. And then I just sat with it like on loop. Like I had it on loop on my phone, and I just had it playing over and over and over again. And I was writing like little things down like in my notes, and luckily no one was home, because like I just kept like kind of like singing like what I was thinking like out loud. And then it kind of just like all like fell together, like the pieces of it came together, and I was like, this sounds really good. Let me switch these words around. And I essentially created like a verse, which was really, it was fun. It's a fun thing to do, which is why I love when artists do that. And because then you get to show like your creativity and you get to show like how you would sing the song.
That is very cool. All right. Well, we do this thing here we call Unsung Heroes, where we take a moment to shine the light on somebody who's worked behind the scenes or somebody who's supported you along the way. Do you have anybody you'd like to shine a little light on?
Absolutely. My brother, Anthony Fritz, he's an amazing singer, which is funny because both our mom and dad like don't sing. My dad, he like used to drum, but there's no singing ability. Like me and Aunt, we just like kind of like watched YouTube videos like growing up and like, yeah. But no, he's awesome. So shout out Anthony Fritz. He's always been very supportive of me.
All right. Well, we have done it. We have reached the top of the hour, which does mean we have reached the end of the show. If you've enjoyed the show, tell a friend. If you have not, tell two. You can reach out to both of us over at jfranzi.com. We will be happy to keep the conversation going. We will talk to you all night long. Gina has already said that she's good for another 5 or 6 hours.
Absolutely. I got my coffee.
There you go. All right, Gina, my friend, I would like to leave the final words to you.
Thank you so much for getting me into your schedule. I feel like this has been like a long time coming.
Nice. All right, folks. On that note, have a good night.
Thanks for listening to The Jay Franzi Show. Make sure you visit us at jfranzi.com. Follow, connect, and say hello. This episode has been brought to you by VR Knives, your source for 100% custom knives made by a true rock star. So, if you're in the market for a new piece of art, reach out to VR Knives. 407-421-5528. 407-421-5528.